Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I may have been a little bit over the early there, but regardless, this is the EUS Challenger Series number 11. We are running it immediately after the Challenger Series number 10. It's our own little super week, if you want to call it that. But anyway, this is the first quarterfinal match. This is N Faculty, and they're going up against yesterday's winners, Copenhagen Wolves. I am Spuddington, and I'm going to be joined by Pulse.
Well, it usually is last week, but because we're doing two on the bounce, it of course, was yesterday. So yesterday's winners of Copenhagen Wolves, who put on a very impressive performance indeed, in fact, against Smart People. Smart People took one game against them, but Wolves just looked very dominant overall. So we'll see how this turns out. Dignitas UK versus Smart People later on today in the second best of three we have for you guys. So first up, we have Elise, Jace, Ezreal, Fresh, Vayne, and Rise banned out. Take me through some of these bans.
So I'm a little bit interested here in that Copenhagen Wolves are the ones who have taken the initiative to ban out Ezreal here. Normally what you tend to see is that teams that go up... Okay, so Reckless is a very well-known player. If you've watched this stream before, you've watched Copenhagen Wolves before, you'll probably know Reckless is a very, very skilled AD carry, and he is particularly skilled on both Vayne and Ezreal. So I'm not surprised to see the Vayne ban out from In Faculty, but the Ezreal ban out is kind of an interesting one. It looks almost like they're trying to block out poke compositions with the Jace and the Ezreal bans. But regardless, it's going to be interesting to see what they go for. The first lock-in was Lissandra.
Yeah, of course, Reckless will have a decent champion pool, but as we've seen before, he played Ashe and he played Varus over the last couple of days, and they haven't kind of worked out as well as his other champions, such as Ezreal and Vayne. That Ezreal and Vayne have two very different playstyles when it comes to team fights, and we've seen that Wolves are exceptionally mechanically skilled at those team fight scenarios. So it's very interesting to me that they would actually ban out the Ezreal, but maybe they're expecting to bring something else out. We've seen Reckless before on Tristana, who is again very maneuverable, as Vayne and Ezreal are, so we could see that coming up, but of course needs to pick it into the right sort of team composition, also the right sort of lane. But I've seen that we will have N Faculty picking up the Lee Sin and also the Kennen as well, so obviously got someone on their team who is, again, skilled with Lee Sin. That's why you pick him, and you have to be incredibly skilled, in fact, with Lee Sin to make it work in competitive play. And then Kennen as well, very solid top laner, very difficult to play against.
Yeah, and that Lee Sin is definitely becoming more and more popular as time goes on. And I've got to say, I think the real reason is because, you know, when he used to get played and he kind of got nerfed at that point, no one really did the insect mechanic. You know, the ward jump behind and the boot back kind of, that particular combo of abilities. No one seemed to have thought about that. No one seemed to use it. No, maybe people just thought, that's too difficult. No one could do that. But then once you see someone else doing that kind of thing, it actually kind of passes through the player base. And I think that that particular initiation is so strong that it's actually up to the overall power level of Lee Sin in general. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents on that front. We have got the Nami pickup. Not surprised to see that. Thresh being banned out does mean that Zyra will probably be the support going up against Nami, although it might be a mid-Zyra, you never do know. I would be a little bit surprised, I wouldn't be at all surprised, sorry, to see the Zyra, though she does tend to work fairly decently against that Nami.
Yeah, and well, it could also go in the mid lane because, you know, we would have like that double AP composition. That actually would work very well with Kennen as well, like the slicing maelstrom straight on top of the Stranglethorns. But yeah, I definitely agree with you in terms of the junglers. And the way I see like the current jungler meta is you see early ganking junglers who have actually very good damage in the early game and generally build more tanky when it gets to team fights in late game. So they perform that kind of those two different roles. And by people realizing that you have that utility with Lee Sin, because what you look for, the tank and utility when you transition into late game, and what everyone used to think of Lee Sin as is, you know, strong in the early game, scales off and just becomes a CC bot, you know, with a counter initiation from Dragon's Raid. But now that he has that utility of the initiation, then he also fulfills that role. And they're like, oh, because, well, Lee Sin's good in the early game, and now he can become a tank initiator. So that fulfills both of those roles, and he just fits in the meta. I mean, that's how I think about it. But looks like we might have a Lissandra, not a Lissandra pickup, but a Syndra pickup in that mid lane, and that would make sense. And as you said, Zyra probably in the bot lane against that Ashe would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, Ashe actually doesn't do too brilliantly against Zyra in general, because she does have a little bit of an issue where if she does get caught by the grasping roots and you do get the burst combo coming out from Zyra at, well, Early levels, it's not as brutal, but at level 6 particularly, when Twitch also will hit that power spike with the spray and pray extra AD, that is a serious problem, and the only escape Ashe has got then is Flash. It's not like Ezreal where you can see, oh lord, I'm not going to dodge that. I guess I'll just press E, lol, 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 and walk away. So, yeah, could be a little bit interesting to see how Copenhagen Wolves' bot lane manage, but Nami very strong support in general, and they will probably actually have some early aggressive advantages with that Tidecaller's Blessing combined with Ashe's surprising early damage and Ashe's extra range over Twitch. But it'll be interesting to see what they manage to do with that. And yeah, that Syndra pickup should be interesting to see as well. But regardless, we will be going into a quick commercial break while the delay timer is just ticking down. So 3 minutes to go, and we'll see you after this.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EUS Challenger Series number 11 with Copenhagen Wolves and N Faculty for the first quarterfinals we have today for you, and there will be a best of 3. I've currently just loaded into the game. It looks like we have a sort of small invade from both of these teams. Doesn't look like either of them are going to actually fight each other, but both of them are progressing onto the red buff regardless. I am Pulse, and I am joined by Spuddington. How's it going?
I've actually got to say here, N Faculty maybe could have looked to be a little more defensive in their kind of level 1 play here. They have Grasping Roots, which is probably one of the strongest level 1 abilities if you can catch someone out. And I guess they wouldn't have necessarily all that much follow-up. Kennen being a fairly pokey level 1 fighter, but fairly strong as well as Syndra at that. It's going to be interesting to see if they run into each other here now. Ryman Simon is in this brush. If people face check this could be deadly. Get the feeling Copenhagen Wolves may smell it, and they do throw the flag and the bubble, but no one gets caught. Ward will just sit there, and no way for you is kind of poking there, a bit brave.
Yeah, very ballsy indeed, but he was safe. Just the fact that the knowledge that his entire team, well, would be behind him despite them all running away was enough for Wolves to think, okay, and, you know, just shove them out of their jungle and not fully commit just in case they lose out in the trade. So, again, very sustained starts, which we're seeing more and more recently. And Lisa just starting with the blue, Jarvan starting with the red, probably going to go for those double buffs. Neither of them are Nasus, so they're not going to be going for those small camps anytime soon, and probably will start to look for those early game ganks.
Yeah, and you can expect actually both of them are likely to be ending up in top lane at about the same time, and that's standard. If you start at the sort of parallel buffs and you're both fairly aggressive early ganking junglers, top lane is generally where you're going to want to look to make stuff happen, especially in a matchup with both sides having decent early game damage. Shen is actually deceptive in terms of early game damage, and both of them having early CC, assuming they skill the abilities. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we see some level 3 junglers walking in on level 2 top lanes. But actually, Shook, making the aggression here, is actually moving into D-Man's jungle. He knows where he is. There are wards down. He does actually not get the smite, but will he be able to kill him here? He's chasing him down with these auto attacks, with this red buff, flashes, gets in with the damage. He's got the Q and picks up first blood.
Yeah, excellent. No way for you. Trading blows in the mid lane. Flag drag over the wall. Flashes popped as well. And not even sure if he had the Dragon Strike. Actually, he did. He, of course, used it to pick up the kill onto D-Man. That was an incredibly good play. Like, he knew that, okay, he might not quite be there in time for the kill, for the buff, but at least he could jump onto D-Man. And at least in the early game, Shook will have the burst damage over Lee Sin. Lee Sin could probably beat him in a sustained engagement, but in terms of just taking the buff. Meanwhile, bottom though, Baroki jumping straight onto Unlimited. The poison ticks down, picks up the kill. Reckless now kiting away from Ryman Simon. Still has the Grasping Roots. They come down. Reckless still running out of here. Vilecast comes down. And the poison, Ryman Simon flashes over the wall. Barra comes out as well, and he's down to 20 HP, not even 20%.
Very, 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 very close, but smart play by Reckless, using the flash before the barrier in spite of the cooldown. Actually, Lissandra coming in over the wall, forcing the barrier from Brokey, who manages to make himself scarce. That was a moment for the heart attacks there. That claw does show itself though before you actually teleport, so he had just enough time to react. That was kind of a blindsider there though.
Yeah, both of these AD carries must be bricking it right now, and so much aggression in that bot lane. But a kill down in that 2 versus 2 is exceptionally good, without even the outside help of a jungler. So it does indeed bode well for that bot lane of Wolves. Of N Faculty, so they are in good shape with Twitch with that extra kill. He does scale incredibly well in terms of damage, but Ash, when you get into that mid-late game, has the initiation with the rest of her team as well. And that's something you can really say is going for Wolves. They have amazing initiation. But on the flip side, good counter initiation. D-Man drops very low. He was kind of a case of the Lee syndrome there, kind of wanting to pick up that CS.
Yeah, I think he was aware though that Lissandra was mostly out of mana, mostly out of cooldown, so kind of less dangerous than it actually looked, and obviously was aware that Exlev would not have Ignite, because if he'd had Ignite, that would have been a much, much riskier play. He might still have gotten away with it, but I wouldn't bet on it. So I doubt he would either. But yeah, right now it's actually a composition from Copenhagen Wolves that we've seen quite a few times actually lately, kind of moving away from a team that's focused purely on pushing the enemy back and defending the carry, and more just initiating so hard that they have almost no choice. In the top lane, though, Nurok has been ignited. The Young Buck going to be trading off with him, putting down some damage. But Nurok actually getting zoned down a little bit here. D-Man is heading up to top, though.
Yeah, meanwhile, the bot lane, Ryman Simon once again aggressively onto Reckless. Stealth comes out from Brokey as well to get the extra attack speed. Once again, more damage coming out, and the X-Punch comes down, flashing up red onto Reckless, but doesn't pick up the kill. It should be enough to push him out of the lane. In fact, popping one of the pots, in fact popping 2 pots, still recalling regardless. In the top lane, New Rock maybe trying to bait out Youngbuck. He has level 5, won't have level 6 for a while. In fact, D-Man just jumping straight to a minion. Interesting they see to try and get this gank down. Tempest crippled, but just enough to kind of push him out and allow New Rock to recall in peace, I think.
Yeah, they want to just push the lane, and Shen won't have the capacity to push this out so fast that he can deny farm to Nurok as a result. He won't be able to get it to the tower. And yeah, this bottom lane is really, really working out well for Faculty at the moment. Reckless down significantly on XP. He's level 3 to the level 5 of Brokey, who is already nearly halfway to level 6. There's a big creep wave here, so he'll hit 4 off of that. But the farm difference is also getting up there. 34, actually, well, again, this is the creep wave that I'm counting here. But so Reckless is actually holding on fairly well, considering how hard he's being pushed out of the lane. But there is a definite advantage at the moment in the favor of Faculty in that bot lane, and that could be really, really good for them, because Twitch is going to get so brutal in that later game. And that Zyra counter initiate, assuming she's able to keep the vision control and make sure that the team isn't blindsided, when it comes to full-on team fights, they're going to have the kind of hyper carry and disengage wombo combo. Although Shook go for Dragon.
Yeah, and in the immediate terms as well, Brokey will have his ultimate spray and pray, so there's the extra AD and the extra range, so we'll be able to out-trade Ashe in that fight. But again, aggressing onto this blue buff. Syndra on the enemy team though, so should be able to secure it with force of will. Doesn't have it for another 7 seconds though, instead used it aggressively. Dragon Drag comes down, smites it, and it's just a matter of getting away, but doesn't look like they are. In fact, D-Man coming around from the side, doesn't have his Dragon's Rage, revealed by a ward in fact. And just moving back to mid lane, so Syndra going to be without the blue buff. Little victory, but when it gets to the dragon fight, if they choose to go for it, they'll be in a better position.
Yeah, Exila, it's an interesting matchup actually. Lissandra, although D-Man going aggressive on Shook, he's found him in his enemy jungle. He's going to take away that buff. The red is also going to mean he's going to keep chasing this down, but the counter engage coming in. We've got the Stand United down, and D-Man now stuck in a horrible place. Maybe didn't take account of the old Shen, 1-2 turnaround.
Yeah, meanwhile on the top lane, New Rock will take this opportunity to do some damage to the turret. It's going to take a little bit of time for Shen to get up there as well. I'm not sure if he can completely take it, but I'm not really sure the damage on the tower was worth D-Man's life. Did pick up the red, but as he assumed he could get out of dodge as well. He had already used the safeguard, so he wasn't able to ward jump away from that. And in fact, he didn't have any more wards, so that was also an issue. Again, maybe just trying to take away that opportunity, and even for his life, if they move now onto Drake, he'll have Smite, and they won't have the luxury of using Stand United, and they might even move Kennen down, so it'll be a 4 versus 5. It might be some elaborate mind game, but it could definitely work out in their favor if they choose to go for that play.
Yeah, but I've got to keep an eye on this bottom lane there, because Unlimited really playing with a fiery plant here, but walking so close up to Ryan and Simon. I'm almost surprised he didn't look to capitalize on it, but I guess he was just feeling a little bit alarmed at the possibility of a jungle gank from the lane, which is actually now going to be the thing that Shook is looking to do. So Ryan and Simon is going to want to hit 6. If he's hit 6 before Jarvan ganks, and Jarvan is doing golems, that will actually make a big difference into whether this gank is successful when Jarvan eventually goes for it. So keeping an eye on this. Tidal Wave is now available for Nami. Bubble been used. Shook looking to get in there, has got mobility boots. It's very tense, and I don't know what they're going to go for.
Ryman Simon actually kicks off the initiation with the Stranglefords. Immediately sees Shook, gets out of dodge. Flash comes down. Ryman Simon and the Cataclysm. Bareki's popping himself out of stealth. Putting some damage onto Unlimited and Reckless though. Barrier comes out and the Venom cast. Another kill comes out. Use the explode. Double kill comes down for Broeki. Great turnaround and reading of the situation. Shook now following after. Got the stealth back up. But the Dragon Strike reclaims the kill.
Arguably worth it though, from Twitch's perspective. Double kill pickup. And like I said, hyper carry material is Twitch. He has so much damage to give and so much synergy with items. Giving him that much gold may actually be worth it in the long run. Will be a little bit more gold in total given over there to Copenhagen Wolves, but Jarvan isn't going to scale the same way as Twitch, and the Ash Arrow is actually going mid. This could be dangerous if it hits no way for you. It didn't.
It was very close indeed, maybe 2 Teemos away. Glacial Path comes down, but in fact just to farm the minions. Shook not coming in though, looking for this gank to happen. Flag comes down, doesn't land the drag with a flash coming out from no way for you, but again, flash down, successful gank.
No way for you. I'm sorry. But regardless, yeah, D-Man in this top lane, I've got to say actually right now, D-Man not having the best game. He's not been able to make that much stuff happen right now. Nurok is actually pressuring this top tower, but he may need to run for his life if necessary. Shook actually isn't looking for the gank, he's just looking to keep the tower alive, but Simon will just josh away on that ward in the bottom lane. We'll be taking that out, and we'll be just continuing to keep this vision control. Zyra very, very good at that. Has got the Stranglethorns in 15 seconds, Tidal Wave up in 11, so if Copenhagen Wolves are keeping a very careful timing, they might be able to have a window there, but I suspect they won't, given the Ash Arrow was wasted in that mid lane. And yeah, Ryan Simon, if he can land that route, there is so much potential for stuff to kick off down there, but nothing's happened yet.
Yeah, D-Man's looking for this gank to happen. They know the ward's in that brush. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we had Unleashed Power coming from Syndra. Flash came out from no, in fact, the Glacial Path came out from Lissandra. So was able to keep himself alive. D-Man's still looking for this gank. They do have the Stranglethorns, and something we found out before Splittington is that D-Man can jump to the plants. Not only the plants, but also the seeds. So if Ryan Simon places down a seed, he could theoretically jump to it and might be able to insect them.
They may not know this, though. I don't think this is well-known information, even among the pros, but he's going in here. The insect mechanics coming down. Hugh comes out. Tidal Wave comes out. Stand United is down, but Unlimited gets bursted before he can teleport in. Now we have Ryman Simon being stunned up by the arrow, but it's not going to be enough. It is actually Shook going aggressive here, looking to keep Reckless alive, and will, in fact, succeed. He knows his own tankiness. The Sandra is coming down, and they actually are potentially looking to chase this up. Shook going for it, but actually, nah, deciding against it.
Yeah, and it's going to get out of there. Shook heading up to Dragon, though. This might be the opportunity they want to try and take this away from them. D-Man down to about 60% HP. In fact, they're turning their attention to the blue buff once again, looking for this 2 to 3 man invade, but 4 men available from end faculty. Going to make Shook think twice about it. He is level 9 versus level 8, so if it comes to a smicing contest, he should be able to win this. They're dragging it away from him, still has the ward. The play right now is to try and get the vision away from Shook. Force of Will, great at securing those buffs, should be able to pick it up, and in fact it goes on to the right person as well.
Yeah, worth noting, when you're holding onto a minion like that, it is literally invulnerable. You can't smite it, you can't take it away. And that meant that Jarvan was kind of stuck in a very awkward position because he wanted to go for it, but the Force of Will tether can last, I think it lasts 3, 4, 5 seconds, and that's, you can't stand that close to the enemy blue alone, no matter how tanky you are for 5 or so seconds. That's a very, very dangerous place to be, but keeping an eye on this mid lane right now. Shook is hanging around, as is D-Man. Lissandra may start that initiate. She's going in with the claw. Does land the frozen tomb. No way for you, just getting blown up, but so does Exila. The Q could come over the wall, but D-Man doesn't land it.
Yeah, he was expecting him to juke upwards so that just in case he was coming in from the south side, but he just walked back to his tower, and that was something that D-Man did not predict. So in the top lane, not too much has happened. In fact, Shen's slightly ahead of Kennen, plus he has the kill from earlier, but not much happening at the moment. It's interesting that Nurok's actually gone for the double Doran's Blade, because double Doran's Blade from Kennen is looking for the lane dominance. And against someone like Shen, I assume he was just trying to see if he could, well, it also helps with the CSing, but see if he could push him out. I'm going to hold that thought for a second, because meanwhile, bottom Tidal Wave comes down, following up from the Stranglethorns. Bareki leading the kill onto Unlimited. Ice Bubble comes out to Ryman Simon. Records might be able to reclaim a kill in return. Bareki's still following with the damage, and Expunge comes down, but no kill. And Reckless just walks out once again, but currently 1-1-1. He's ahead in CS though. That's actually somewhat surprising.
Yeah, he is actually. That, again, like you say, surprising, but we did notice it early on. Even when he was being bullied out of the lane, he was keeping up on CS, so I guess it's just straight up He's very good at CSing. I mean, there's no other explanation I can think of. He's just not dropping unforced CS. So Exeler gonna be getting aggressive in that mid lane, but Frozen Tomb wouldn't expect him to get too aggressive. But that was the power you saw there of Zyra and Twitch as well, because they have such a good setup for each other there. You had that Grasping Roots landing on Reckless, and indeed showing that Reckless on that Ashe, the lack of escape is a serious problem. Forced so many cooldowns out there from the bottom lane of Copenhagen Wolves, but that was definitely worth it. A little bit of a pity from the perspective of Faculty, they couldn't get any kills though.
Yeah, and now we're kind of just looking towards who will win the next fight, because we've seen some invades coming in from Shook and the rest of his team, but currently 16 minutes into the game, literally no gold in it, but the tower up to Faculty means that there is a slight CS advantage all over the board coming in from Wolves, and right now they are starting the Drake as well, using those tanks, using those plants to tank it, and it doesn't look they're able to contest this either. Just absolute no vision on it. They can't go for the contest, and they just pick up another advantage. So they are slightly ahead, but is it enough to go for a team fight and 100% win?
Yeah, they have a very strong team fighting composition. They've got the Slicing Maelstrom, they've got great initiation from two sources actually. It's kind of deceptive, but Syndra is actually a very good initiator for a burst mage, because that stun, the ball comboed with the Scatter the Weak, is incredibly long range, and it's also a 1.5 second stun. It's also potentially AoE. So the level of, if you catch someone squishy at the max range, just tip of that stun, you have so much follow-up on this team as well. You've got the Zyra ultimate, you've got the Kennen ultimate, and the Twitch in the backline. So they can get this to work. They've also got, Lee Sin, who can pull out the insect mechanics. And do you think someone should probably think of a name other, because I know Insect kind of invented, or was the first person to really popularize it, but I kind of feel like there should be an official name for that mechanic.
Well, Insect is not a bad way to put it, but in the bot lane, Reckless lands the Crystal Arrow, but the counter attack coming in from D-Man as well, almost immediately knocked up from the Tidal Wave, and the counter engage was so good. Kennen heading down along with No Way For You. This could at least be one kill, depending on who they go for. Scatterweed comes out, lands the stun, straight with the knockback from D-Man, and now Reckless in this 1 versus 5 scenario along with Youngbuck, but he's not going to be able to offer too much in this place. Lissandra coming down, but he's still going to be 2 versus 5, and the minion wave heading in. The great mobility showing through from Faculty.
Yeah, in fact, we're in the right place at the right time. Excellent going in, though. God does get stunned up instantly by the Syndra stun, so didn't actually manage to get anything done. Brokey getting Dota towered there. And Nurok going to be chasing up Youngbuck. I don't think they can really kill him, but yeah, being in the right place at the right time, using their composition correctly there, in fact, are putting our current reigning champions as of only yesterday definitely back on their heels right now. Copenhagen Wolves are going to have to pull something out to make this work for them.
Yeah, and this is of course a best of 3, so if they go 1 down in this game, they'll have to win 2 on the bounce. And yesterday we saw them win 2 in a row and then lose 1, but all they had to do was win 1 game out of 3. I'm not sure how I managed to screw that one up, but yeah, they are definitely losing out. It just seems like the general team play is better from Faculty, and it's worth mentioning Cal Todd, who is on their usual lineup, is currently on vacation. Exeler is a sub. And some interesting mechanics, but he is a very good player in his own right. But just, I'd like to make a point that in a team, you don't have that same sort of synergy that you would have normally, because it's a different player and you have different ways of playing, and you also have different champion pools, so they may not be used to playing like a Lissandra, or used to playing with a certain playstyle. So we'll see how this works out, but Copenhagen Wolves historically have been very good at coming back into the game in team fights. Excellent might be caught out, this Gatsby comes out, Unleash Power as well. Lands the Force of the Will, but Shock now comes in with a flag and drag. Johnny is from Exeter as well. Tidal Wave comes down from Unlimited. And D-Man is looking to follow up with the Tempest and the Cripple. Shook still following up, he's so tanky. And they will be backing off. 1 kill goes down and D-Man knocks him towards the turret. Another Scatter the Weak comes down, but Nura now heads in. And Aquapus actually pins him up. Reckless now trading off with Burak. He came in from the side with Stealth. Now laying waste to Shook. Again backing off, and Youngbuck comes back into the action. But 2-for-1 trade. Again, Faculty winning out.
And I want to give massive shout outs to Unlimited there. He actually stopped, I think, 2 or at least 3 major disasters from happening in that fight for his team. Unlimited, but you saw the bubble on the cannon, but what you probably didn't see was when he exhausted Syndra at the exact moment that she tried to turn around and land a Q on Lissandra at the moment her Zhonya's ran out, because the exhaust stopped her from managing to do enough damage there, keeping Lissandra alive for at least a little while longer. But as it happened, she ended up dead anyway. But that, you know, that's not the support's fault. So Unlimited, a really, really solid player that we've seen kind of pretty much consistently, actually, making these really good plays from the support position. But as it happens, she's going to be throwing out the bubble and the mid lane. I'm not sure she wanted to, though. This could be a little bit awkward. She's ignited. She's going to go down from that. Will be a tower push down as well.
Yeah, it looked like a call came in from Shook because he wanted to maybe clear out the minions, and Naomi was just like, okay, and then got completely deleted. So, tower going down in the mid lane, another tower in the bot and the top. So all of the outer turrets currently down for Wolves, and again, End Faculty just looking very strong. Nothing yet has really signaled a chance for Wolves to come back into it in terms of all this fight going in Faculty's favour. Again, we've always said that Wolves are very good in those team fights, but Faculty actually holding their own.
Yeah, this time, well, I mean, I don't know if Faculty were even playing in the last Challenger series. I have the memory of a goldfish as to what our brackets were, so it might have been that they were always this strong, but Sandra there dicing with death a little bit, but using that core very effectively to get out of the potential range of that stun. And actually, it might be worth mentioning at this point that Syndra is building quite an uncommonly tanky build. Has gone for the Merc Treads, gone for the Haunting Guys, and double Doran's Rings. Not the kind of typical burst cast you tend to see. Probably just doing that, though, because she's up against that Lissandra, and she has to be so careful about being initiated on.
Yeah, a little bit more utility, but again, as you said, we'll give him the tankiness to sustain himself in the team fight. And actually, the Scatter of the Weak was enough to cancel the amount of time Lissandra had to activate the Glacial Path again, and actually picked up the kill. Another ultimate comes out from Kennen. Not sure that was 100% necessary, but gets the kill, and you can't argue with that. Another Drake going down, and again, Faculty just looking very, very strong.
It's a long stun. I mentioned this. 1.5 seconds is a really significant bit of CC, considering the range it's at on that Syndra there. So, yeah, setting up kills, much as I said. And that's working out for them right now. In fact, are going to get chased away here. Shook is in the mid lane. He may be looking for a gank, but I'm not sure that is what he wants. He's been stunned up. D-Man will not look to capitalize, though. A little bit too tanky, but while all this is going on, Baroki is shoving down that bot lane, getting himself some farm. He'll be able to take that tower fairly quickly if Lissandra can't stop him.
It seems now that the typical play against Wolves is just ban out Ezreal, ban out Vayne, and in fact they banned out Ezreal themselves, and then just kind of do a bit bot lane, and then means that they don't have those multiple threats. And it never quite seems that Reckless gets to that stage where he's hyper carrying, and of course he does need a strong early game. He's great in those team fights, but he never seems to get to that stage with other champions. Like when we see him on Ashe or Varus, we see him a couple times, you know, but it's more hit and miss. It's not very consistent, and it seems like teams are starting to read Wolves and read their strategies. And Wolves obviously have gone for different types of setups. And as you mentioned in Champion Select, actually, Spuddington, you said that they've gone for a more engage heavy, and because they're so engage heavy that there's no one really to be available to get to the back line of Reckless. But maybe they need to just go back to basics.
I don't know, certainly a Janna pick would be pretty good for them right now, trying to keep Reckless alive if he gets stunned by the Syndra, although that hasn't been what's happening that much. It's mostly actually been guys like Unlimited getting picked off by Syndra, and occasionally Exila as well, which you wouldn't normally expect because he's got 2 Zhonya's effect, so he can just nullify the ultimate from Syndra unless she's stunned while it's going on. So, yeah, doing pretty well right now. In fact, aren't so far ahead that they are guaranteed to win team fights if they're in a bad initiation, but they are sufficiently far ahead that they can seriously decimate people if they have a good one. So, going to be worth looking to see if Copenhagen Wolves are going to try and make some kind of play right now. They do have Stand United available, but Kennen is just permanently shoving out that top. Twitch, however, is going to go to that bot. We might be able to take this mid tower, though.
Yeah, and I have a point, but I'm going to hold on to it just for a second as they take the middle turret, and it doesn't look like they are going for this initiation. Twitch actually running down back to bot lane as well. Looks like he just wants to clear out their farm. There's a couple waves stacked up. I was going to say, like, in fact, I'm going to hold the fort again for another second, because Shook looking once again to contest this blue buff, another recurring theme. But with Force of Will available, they might be able to just take it off. And Spike comes down, in fact, breaking from behind. Lands the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. This is the initiation. Excellent now coming in. Lands the Frozen Tomb onto No Way For You. Flash over the wall keeps him safe. And now Reckless picks up the corner to Brooke. He was completely split from his team, looking for that flanking maneuver. D-Man now then pops over the wall with the ward jump. Now 1 for 2 trades, and Wolves actually win out pretty significantly in their fight. Also picking up the blue buff. That was a 4 versus 5 though, and Kennen is pushing this tower. Doesn't look like anyone can react to it in time though.
Yeah, I think Nuruk will take that tower. The fact that it was oh boy, actually, Reckless making plays now. Oh, the stun whiffs from No Way For You. That's fairly disastrous. Reckless going for the flash, but the exhaust is down. D-Man trying to turn this around, but Reckless judged the tower range just perfectly. That's another double kill there, going to Reckless. Shook now chasing down Nurok. He's got mobility boots, and if he can manage to get him, well, out of the range. Sorry, there we go. He's just gonna get him. There we go. Whatever I was saying, it's that.
And he picks up the kill. Shutdown comes on to Nurok. He did manage to pick up the tower then, which was entirely worth it from his perspective, but big play coming in from Reckless picked up 2 more kills they wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and that completely swung it in their favour.
And you got to say, actually, as well, Shook making the timing call. He's just got this kind of sixth sense about the state of the enemy jungle, which he can't really see. He knew where No Way For You was going. He knew what they were doing. And he also knew that that was a good fight to look for. So he managed to get it. And in fact, kind of maybe overcommitted a little bit on that. They were not able to make that work for them. So, well, they put themselves a little bit further behind than they were, but Ram and Simon now with the mobility boots, which I do like on Zyra incidentally, and the Oracle's Elixir, because Zyra is a very slow character, by the way, and very easily caught out, very easily punished, so you get those mobility boots, you're a little bit safer as you roam around and try and get some vision control. And plus it lets you set up stuff if you're trying to run after someone and grasping roots them or something like that. But yeah, nice pickup by that, and trying to get that vision control. And Limited also has an Oracles though, so it's going to be a matter of can they kind of force them back by threatening team fights, because they can't let themselves get caught in the Shen trap. They can't let themselves be forced back constantly while Shen pushes other lanes and then stand united if they try and force a fight.
Yeah, the point I was trying to say earlier, in fact, and again I'm going to be interrupted. Actually, just get hit by the Sonic Wave, but they didn't choose to follow it up. No Way For You, just interrupting Youngbook's recall. And I think they're going to be backing off. Yep, so the point was that NFAC have a very good team composition which is good at controlling the pace of the game, and they're playing it very well as well. They as you saw before, they were using Kennen to split push, so they had to use someone to react to that. And at the same time, if they send Shen, then Shen it will be interrupted because Kennen, of course, has 2 sources of stuns. And also, they have Twitch, and Twitch is one of the AD carries who can actually just ambush people. It's in his ability named. He can actually set up plays himself, and he can start making picks happen, which is something that most AD carries can't, because he does of course have that stealth, has a bit of CC inbuilt as well. Black Drag comes over the wall, doesn't quite pick it up. Now the initiation comes out, flash over the wall, and actually I think Shen figured that they might be going for the all-in initiate, and Shook just flashes over the wall. Instead, Enchanted Crystal Arrow just weaves in between and faculty. So many big ultimates are down. Cataclysm still up though if they want to try and get out here. Flash over the wall though. Europe comes out of brush, completely stealth. Now the Zonian gets popped, splitting up the fight. They can't get themselves back into it. An entirety of the team at faculty are just wailing away on their front line. Esther pops himself into Frozen 2. D-Man drops, and Cataclysm finally comes down. Not popped earlier in that fight. Reckless now are given the opportunity to just wail away at the rest of the surviving members of faculty. No Way For You and Ryan Simon are dropped very low. And it doesn't look like they're in any shape to try and contest either. Youngbook just searching for his jungle, looking to find someone to kill. Finds himself No Way For You. Scatter the Weak comes down. And now it's just execution time. Seeing if someone can land some damage. And in fact, gets the execute, so well played.
Okay, well, in a second, you could maybe give us your point that you've been struggling to get out for a long time, but... oh wait, no, you got it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Exela has been... is pushing down that mid tower, and will be just returning back home. So, yeah, in fact, losing that fight there, in spite, I think, of having a very, very good good setup there. I did not catch what happened to Brokey though, and that is probably the linchpin in why they lost. So, because what they actually did that was really, really good in that fight was they cut Reckless off. I mean, Stranglethorns meant he couldn't get near the fight for quite some significant amount of time. Nurok was maybe overcommitted with his ultimate though. He did get exhausted, so he didn't put out as much damage, and he didn't Zhonya's as early as he perhaps could have done. So, a little bit unfortunate on that front, and Syndra, I think, maybe did not put out as much damage as she would have liked either, because it was all a very kind of messy fight where everyone was trying to kind of squeeze themselves around walls without getting caught out by the enemy bruisers.
It might have been a result of Shen being a little too tanky, because New Rock did split up both Shook and Reckless, so they didn't have the initiation and they didn't have the control of Cataclysm, and at the same time they didn't have, you know, the main source of sustained damage. So on paper they should have won. Exler did land an incredibly good Frozen Tomb, not only stasising himself, but like doing the damage to at least 3 or 4 people, which did hurt them. And the fact they pushed out No Way For You and Ryman Simon almost immediately with the bruises, even like 3 versus essentially 5 or 4, discounting Nurok, then they should have won. And I think it again comes down to the superior split-second decision making coming in from Wolves, and we've seen this time and time again. Just in team fights, they just seem to win.
I actually looked at it just while you were talking there. I kind of went back on the spectator client, and I think the major factor that was really, really nice was that both Youngbuck and Exeler came in on the back line. No Way For You and Brokey were forced back, and the Frozen Tomb meant that both of them were kind of zoned out and unable to put any damage down on the bruisers, whereas the guys that were zoned out, you know, Reckless and co, were actually able to put down a little bit more damage while they were being zoned, even if they were kind of playing fairly cautious and backing off. So it was nicely played, and yeah, Youngbuck also forced the flash out of Twitch. He taunted straight towards it, was not able to well, he was able to get out of it, but he was not able to shred Youngbuck. He does not yet have that last whisper, I believe, so yeah, a little bit unfortunate there, but Brokey stealthing up, moving towards this mid lane.
Yeah, and of course, the Oracles is down onto Unlimited. Land scattered a week as well, and here's the initiation. Unlimited immediately gets dropped. This is going to be a 4 versus 5 from the offset, and Reckless now kiting away Nurok immediately with the Zhonya's Hourglass, but nothing really to follow up. Reckless actually getting locked up, and the ultimate comes down, immediately picking up that kill as well. Shutdown comes out. Ryman Simon jumping onto Youngbuck, the last person standing, and while all that was happening, the rest of the team disintegrated. 4 for 0. Great initiation and great follow-up from Men Faculty. This should surely be the Baron.
These flash plays, and you can actually see Kennen is trying to play the initiator this game because he's got Distortion Boot, which is not something you tend to see that often, but it's working out really, really well for him. I thought it was a bit soon to be making another flash initiation. Youngbuck getting caught out though. He's going to be getting stunned up and maybe getting taken out. He is very, very tanky, but he's got so many people putting down damage. The taunt is not enough. And suddenly, NFAC, who looked like they were losing momentum, back in the driver's seat, looking very, very strong with that Baron buff and with that gold, and indeed with that Twitch. And in fact, look at how big of a difference that flash cooldown is making.
Yeah, like it's already 1/3 down on the cooldown. That's actually really interesting. I really like that decision making as well from NFAC, because it's like, okay, this is the type of team fight we need, but Leech Power comes straight onto Unlimited. Actually pops the passive, and Nurok has been caught by the Cataclysm, and fish in a barrel immediately gets picked up. Unlimited, I think that was Lock of the Iron Solari that kept him alive, I think. I saw shielding come in, I can only assume it was that, but yeah, with the flash plays from Nurok, I actually really like that, because they know the type of team fights that they need, where they need to split up, because they have great counter-initiate and zoning potential from both Shock and Unlimited with the Tidal Wave. So what Kennen allows them to do is have a source of initiation which not only splits them up, but makes it impossible to counterplay with the Zhonyas. And it looks like an initiation coming from Exeler, chooses better of it. The tower is very, very close to death, and Shook now being chased down by D-Man. But 2 tanky bruises, doesn't look like he wants to follow up on it.
Yeah, and a little bit unfortunate there because Brokey got caught in the bubble while invisible. So either Unlimited is you know, some kind of deity, or that was a bit of a lucky play there. But yeah, it's really, really starting to look good for NFAC. They will have that flash cooldown back up pretty shortly on Kennen. And I will say as well, where Kennen got caught out there was, I think he overcommitted a little bit trying to follow up on Syndra's burst, because he's aware that she doesn't have quite as much 100-0 burst as she would normally do with the Merc Dreads and the Haunting Guise pickups, as compared to her usual kind of, well, frankly, just every AP item you can get, possibly maybe
Yep.
even a Deathfire.
Yeah, so he was just looking to finish off the kill. But Nurok is quite valuable, and I guess he didn't have the flash either, so it didn't matter all that much. But with flash up in 5 seconds, they could definitely group up and go for another team fight. Again, they need to engineer it correctly, and the flash over the Dragon Wall before was just perfect, because he flashed into the brush, and then because he was stealthed, he was right in the middle of them, and then they had to split up immediately, but he still got the damage and the stuns out. And the same happened in mid lane as well. So again, they can probably open up. I wouldn't be surprised if they do so, and they're just farming the jungle at the moment as well. So it's really just down to waiting until end faculty make the play. And since they do have the Baron, I wouldn't be surprised if it's sometime in the very near future.
Yeah, that's kind of what you would expect. I mean, typically, if you have a huge buff stat that is going to depreciate with time, that would be the logical conclusion. And right now, D-Man waiting in this bottom lane, just in case someone feels like stopping his little buddy Twitch from farming, but Copenhagen Wolves aren't even interested. However, this does mean they've now got this lane pushing out. Shen is committed at top, does have Stand United, and they will have Lissandra backing, Shook running over there, and Nami, who also I think now has mobility boots. Yeah, so they probably won't be able to defend this tower very easily, but they might be able to get an initiation off. NFAC have to be very careful not to overcommit to damaging the tower, because right now, for instance, they could be ice arrowed.
Yeah, Baraki just shredded through incredibly quickly though, and they don't go for the initiation. Shen may want the top lane, so this could be the initiation that they want. 5 versus 4, say initiation, but they just take him out from long range with unleashed power. And again, 3 versus 5. Shen's going to have to do something or just carry on pushing. That's the best case scenario. D-Man's just leading the charge onto this turret, and it's really up to them if they want the initiation. They have the Cataclysm and the Ice Arrow, but they're just conceding turret right now. Rex is potentially caught. Then Shook does go for the initiation with Stand United on top of him as well. Exela goes for the Glacial Path, flashes down, lands the Serpent Frost into the Frozen Tomb, drops Shook. Currently 1 kill onto Nurok, who did use his ultimate, and 3 kills go down. Apparently someone's saying bug, and I didn't quite catch it.
Young Buck, his Stand United, he was alone in top lane and it got cancelled. He didn't teleport. The guy did not die. He just didn't teleport for some bizarre reason. So Reckless there taking a lot of damage. We'll be backing out. Young Buck flashing in, picks up one with these taunt and picks up another with the Volpole Blade. The bubble comes down. The exhaust comes down. Brokey is still going though. He may get taken out though. Young Buck is not going to go down in a hurry. Just a little bit too tanky. But yeah, like I said, Young Buck saying exactly what happened to him. He genuinely didn't. I went back and looked. He just didn't teleport.
Interesting. I've actually seen this before in like a solo queue game, but I think the guy had engineered. There must be a way. There must be a way to actually make that happen consistently. It's worth a custom game. But yeah, that's very interesting. And I think during that confusion as well, like N faculty were just like, what? And then they just got engaged upon by Young Buck, who came back from spawn. So they eventually pushed them out of their base, but with the inhibitor down, this is what opens up the opportunity to go for the other 2 turrets and eventually the inhibs, but put themselves some time. Again, Nurok still has the flash, and his ultimate will be up very shortly as well. So if they want to go for another team fight, they can. But yeah, that was a bit interesting.
And it may have cost Copenhagen Wolves very, very dearly not having that Shen appear, because typically as Shen you face a choice as to who you want to ult. You can ult a tanky guy who is initiating and then guarantee that you will be in the enemy front line, and also almost guarantee that you will teleport in because the guy will not get bursted, unlike Ryman Simon, who is in a lot of trouble now. Is throwing down the Stranglethorn. It's the full combo, and now Shook is actually getting bursted quite hard by No Way For You. D-Man is off the side. Nurok has been frozen tomb, but the ultimate is still chugging. He has popped that Zhonya's, and the taunt is mistimed. No Way For You picks up one and will put the slow on Young Buck. Young Buck going to be running for his life if he can, but actually is kind of sitting there and tanking it. Doesn't really care. Young Buck will be getting himself out of there though. So the stun hits a wall, and that will be the end of that engagement. Very, very close on several guys from NFAC.
Yeah, 5 people on the map currently flashing up red, and Baroki was looking for kills. He wasn't the front line and didn't have any front line to actually keep him safe. So did have to bring himself back. but they did slightly win out. So they are in a better position, and we've seen that from the team fights and also the item builds. They are, again, slightly ahead. Reckless now has the kills, and he's approaching the late game carry status. Baron is up, and it's now a matter of whether Copenhagen Wolves want to maybe contest this. Roman Simon will see the ward, and it's now down to Shook. It's Shook time.
Can he outsmite a man with an execute ability? This could be a little bit challenging, but it's been done. Ryman Simon is going to be getting focused down quite hard, as will No Way For You. Can they get this? Young Buck is going in on No Way For You. He will get taken out, but Brokey is sitting there. He has been caught, though. Will get bubbled. Will get knocked up by Flag and Drag, although it won't display it. Reckless now coming in. Will pick up one. Will pick up two. Will pick up three. Ice Arrow comes down. Is going to pick up a fourth one here. Will get that quadra kill. And that is a huge turnaround for Copenhagen Wolves. Clean ace. Going to give them the opportunity to get their inhib back up. That is so, so good for them.
Yeah, New Rock was actually dueling Reckless, and he just completely kited them away. Reckless actually ended that fight with almost 90% HP left, and just came back in and killed everyone else. Young Bucks is going to literally take no damage from this turret, and they should at least pick them up an inhibitor, if not like an altar turret as well. I don't think they can quite finish the game, but it was just expertly played mechanically from the entire lineup of Wolves.
So, so good. Maybe NFAT committing a little bit too hard to getting that Baron done and not backing away. I guess they just felt, well, we're ahead. What could go wrong? And fortunately for them, the Baron did not get stolen away, because that would have been truly disastrous and would have put them actually genuinely on the back foot. But Reckless is now starting to get really, really dangerous. Ashe as a late game carry is actually a really brutal one, because she has very high base attack speed and she also has that range, plus the perma-slow, plus the volley spam, which is actually a strong, for an AD carry, late game ability, because it's a 1-to-1 AD ratio on that, and a big AoE, pops Banshee's Veils. It's an excellent ability. Plus the initiation potential. She's really, really strong right now, and NFAT cannot afford to throw another fight like that, or they may find themselves actually losing a game where, for the whole game, pretty much, they've been winning.
Yeah, we kind of... It's like the classic Baron play and the classic Baron throw, because it's something that can always happen. Two wards come down, they are very confident in their vision. Shook gets himself found out. Spike comes down and D-Man picks it up. It's Sandy Nicer comes in, but that's a big ultimate to pop in a shortly dead Shook scenario. That's a big ultimate down. Shook is out as well. And the 60-second death timer, this is really the opportunity to end back to potentially pick up, again, this inhib and maybe another big objective like an inhibitor turret. This is not good for Copenhagen Wolves.
You know, it's funny, because for someone who is so prescient about what's going on in the enemy jungle, we've seen Shook get caught out in his own jungle several times now. It's almost like he doesn't expect people to try and gank him at his red. And I mean, you know, he'll invade the enemy blue very successfully, but, you know, red appears to be, his own red, sorry, appears to be anathema to him. But regardless, No Way For You is actually playing dangerously here. Has not been spotted out by a ward. Reckless could arrow at any time. Has got that Mercurial Scimitar if No Way For You gets on him. The claw comes down and is not going to be used for the initiation, just for wave clear.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Avatar movie, like the big clincher in that one. I think people understand what I'm saying, but yeah, it's kind of, it's weird.
Don't watch terrible films.
What, have you not seen Avatar?
Oh wait, no, you mean no.
No, the good Avatar, not the last.
Well, okay, the not. It's still actually fairly terrible, but you know, Pocahontas in space. But regardless, Ice Arrow coming out to that top lane will not pick anyone up, but the Shirelius has been popped, and they want D-Man's blood. He's going to be able to get himself out though.
Yeah, again, they're just looking for picks. Ice Arrow is down, but it doesn't have an amazing long cooldown at this stage in the game. 64 seconds is not too terrible, and should be up for the next fight or the next initiation if they want it to happen. Again, Inhibitor is down, so all the minion waves will be getting slightly stronger, and they will have all the lanes eventually pushing in. So for now, they're going to just have to sit in their base, twiddle their thumbs, and wait for End Faculty to come down upon them. And End Faculty don't particularly have, well, they have diving potential, but they won't want to dive Exler and Shook, especially with Young being so tanky. They have a lot of abilities to lock them down under turret and pin them there for a good couple seconds, and that's all they need for the tower just to completely destroy their front line, and then Baraki to die, and so will No Way For You. So they probably won't look for the dives, and they will be looking for the picks, and the red buff pick was absolutely perfect for them, but that won't happen anytime soon. So it's really just down to seeing what Faculty can do about it. They don't really have anything to fight over, at least in open ground.
So, worth noting though at the moment, the goal difference between the two teams is relatively small for this stage of the game. This game is going late. People are kind of hitting almost full item builds or full item builds. You can see Brokey has 1 item left to guess. You can see that Reckless has, in fact, every item he could plausibly want, short of maybe selling his boots for a Zephyr. But the thing is, the gold total for Copenhagen Wolves is very, very focused on Reckless. He's got 20k gold. That's 5k more than anyone else on his team. And that actually means that at this point, he's hitting item caps. He's hitting item caps. And that means that his team now needs to be getting farmed, but they can't necessarily afford to be spending time farming, because Reckless is the best wave clear. If this game goes like a little bit longer, say another 5-10 minutes, that's actually going to start favoring NFAC. But again, if it goes even longer than that, their entire team will start hitting item caps, while the item-starved members of Copenhagen Wolves will then start picking up their items anyway. So actually, there's still a kind of, even though people are hitting full builds this game, there's still kind of a power curve thing going on right now. But D-Man is potentially in trouble that can get out.
Yeah, and power curves don't matter if someone gets caught and dies, and then it's a 4 versus 5. And you don't have to be an expert mathematician to understand who would win that fight. So, in fact, Faculty might just wait until Baron spawns, because at least if they go for that again, 2 things can happen. Either Wolves think, okay, they're going for it again, we can counter-engage, or they set up a trap, and then they go for a fight on open ground where they're not gimped in any way by debuffs. So, they might choose to do that, because at the moment, they just can't fight in a siege scenario. Twitch is not good in siege scenarios. Ashe is much better, also, not only in sieges, but also the wave clear with Lissandra alone can probably give a wave before it even gets there. So, since they can't siege turrets, and they don't really have the poke for it either, they might just wait for Baron.
Yeah, this is actually a good point to make, because their comp works way better in the enemy jungle. Sorry, not well, in their own jungle too, but works way better when there are walls for Kennen to flash over, when there are walls for Syndra to kind of set up a stun over, when there are brushes for Zyra to hide in and land that route. The Copenhagen Wolves right now are pushing hard, and Ryman Simon blows his ultimate. The stun is on unlimited though. Ice Arrow comes out. I think that was hitting on Brokey, and the Stand United is down. Exeler going for No Way For You in the background. He will get taken out by Twitch though. No, he won't. He gets Zhonya's. But in the meantime, in the middle of the fight, Ryman Simon will be backing out. He's very low. Brokey dueling Youngblood. Nurok dueling Shook, but Shook flashes, goes for the aggression. Cataclysm is down. Meanwhile, the shutdown on Ashe, which is crucial. Nurok is going to be going aggressive. His Shook will get taken out surely, but does indeed get taken out in the end by, I think, some poison there from Twitch. But that's random. But anyway, that was a fight going in the favor of NFAC.
Yeah, a little messy, and Youngbuck does have the Guardian Angel as well, so they might be able to, well, if they don't pick him up, they can at least take an inhib at the bot lane, but they are looking to do some more lasting damage. So if they can pick up the inhibitor tower as well, that would be great, but with their AD carry down, well, at least they disrupted the Youngbuck recall, but I think the best they can expect right now is to pick up the bottom inhibitor. Minions might do that anyway, though, and Nurok is still looking for this middle turret. Youngblood is being forced to stay in. The rest of the team coming very shortly. In fact, Youngblood pops the Fate. He is incredibly low. Dragon's Rage pops him into Guardian Angel, so they don't have to deal with that in the next fight. Now with Unlimited back in the fray, popping down the Tidal Wave, and at least they pick up the middle inhibitor turret. Nurok finds himself caught though. This could be very bad indeed. Youngblood eventually wails away on him and picks up the kill. So 70 seconds on the death timer. We could see some counterplay coming in from Wolves.
Stayed in too long there. Kennen a little bit too brave. They did, however, take a Nexus tower. Nami threw the tidal wave across and kind of just caught it on the tip. We caught Nurok on the tip of the tidal wave, which is a bit of a T mouthful. But regardless, No Way For You is sitting on a ward. And that is a very dangerous place to sit right now, because Reckless has spawned. He is very nearby. And the Ice Arrow is coming in. Ryman Simon will get stunned. Shook is kind of slowly DPSing him, but Brokey is actually across the wall. This could be bad in theory, but as it happens, they are going to keep going. They are still very tanky. The Q is in from Lee Sin. He will try and peel them away. Brokey is still alive. And Lissandra is on the backline, locking everyone down. Brokey is going to die. Zyra is going to die. Youngbuck will not take out D-Man immediately, but that's not going to matter. Exeler will chase him down and pick that ace up, and that is a turnaround game.
And that is the GG well played. 5-0. Such a perfect fight. Literally all the CC and all the damage, all the AoE ultimates landed on everyone. And then it was 4 versus 5. Nurok comes back in, lets him pull off the most amazing slicing maelstrom I've ever seen. I don't think he can 1 versus 5. And Nurok just isn't tanky enough either. This is the game.
Impressive play, but you've got to say, standing there isolated like that, without the Oracle, that was the thing, where Ryman Simon, he didn't know he was sitting on a ward there, and that is what cost them the entire game, because that ice arrow can come from nowhere, and if you're standing still on a ward, it's not something anyone is going to miss, short of being very drunk.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer to go for it as well, so vision wins games. That's what we can learn from that one. But anyway, guys, we'll be jumping through a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we will be in the second game of this best of 3 between Copenhagen Wolves and N Faculty. Don't go anywhere. Should be a great second game.